tepat sunod.
Want to fight about it?
All right, what is up, fam? We are back for the Want to Fight About It podcast. I'm your host, as always, Stephen Rochelle, live here on the TSS Sports Corp Network. I'm gonna be having some fun here. Gonna be joined by our first guest, Jordan Heiderman here just in about a second. But as we're gonna get into that, we're also gonna be joined by Louis Lopez, BKFC flyweight. He's gonna be fighting for that BKFC flyweight title in 2 weeks. Should be a fun one. But with that being said, let's get it into our first guest of the evening.
Fighting out of the red corner.
Fighting out of Norfolk, Nebraska.
Oh, and he's locking on the bicep. He's locking on the bicep. This is exciting.
There's the tap. Over and out. Jordan Heiderman.
All right, what is up, fam? Our first guest, newly signed PFFL fighter, Mr. Jordan Heiderman. How are we feeling this evening and this afternoon, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's definitely a pleasure, man. Anytime we can get some new faces, some fresh perspective on the combat sports world, definitely appreciate your time this evening, Jordan.
For sure.
Now, that being said, lots of fun stuff going on. In your career. You've been all over the place. LFA. You've been a contestant on The Ultimate Fighter. We're about to see the next season's about to debut here in a few weeks. Are you going to be tuning into that? A little Connor, Mr. Michael Chandler action going on.
Absolutely. I'll be watching. I think it's going to be a great season, especially after being on the show. You definitely become more of a fan.
Yeah, I definitely got a guy I've been covering for a while, Nate Ginnerman. I hope he does really well. How are you feeling on it? There's been a lot of people have some mixed reactions afterwards. I know Helen Peralta, after her experience on there, she wound up going fighting in Invicta afterwards with "fuck Disney" on taped over her boobs. She was basically walking out there topless, making her statement. Obviously, you're going to be tuning in. You had a good time, correct?
Oh, for sure. Actually, it's funny. Helen did that on the show, but they obviously weren't able to air it. But she definitely has that bold personality, and you got to respect that. She was a lot of fun.
She doesn't care who it irritates, who it makes it feels uncomfortable. She's one of the characters I'll enjoy. Win, lose, or draw. She's a fun conversation to talk to.
Oh, for sure.
Period. I've been talking to her since I think it was before her first fight with Christina Fieri.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, it's really fun watching her. I hopefully she can bounce back, get some wins together. Hopefully we can see that fight happening sometime down in the future. Christine's running out of girls to beat up that down there in BKFC.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Helen's game right there is the bare knuckle. She's just a beast, and I think that's where she needs to make her career at.
I don't think she likes BKFC. I wouldn't be surprised to seeing BKB or Valor or some of these other, maybe even Gamebred, maybe even Mastival picks her up and sign her. She seems perfect for that type of organization. In my opinion, she's just loud, outspoken, opinionated, Very few promoters kind of really enjoy that truly and honestly. That's just my take.
Gotta respect it though. I like it.
Oh yeah, she's fun, man. She's a blast. But speaking of which, obviously she's fought for PFL. I got to ask you your thoughts on it. Obviously you're newly signed to it. What were your thoughts when they broke the news that Jake Paul is going to be making his MMA debut for the organization you just signed for?
Yeah, so when the PFL offer came across my table, I was like, "Is it versus Jake Paul?" As a joke, but unfortunately, I didn't get that fight. But no, I'm super excited for my PFL offer.
We ain't gonna see him in the cage for what, a year at least, right?
No, yeah, get a hand-pick his opponent, I'm sure.
But speaking of your opponent, I've actually interviewed your opponent, Mr. Brady. Well-rounded guy, man. Well-rounded guy.
Yeah, I did a little film study, and he definitely is a well-rounded guy, and he doesn't fatigue. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. Probably a fan favorite, if I can say so.
I like the matchup. Like Philly guy. Obviously, I got love for Mr. Brady. He definitely puts the work in, man. He's a Martinez BJJ fighter. Anyone who doesn't know who Will's a Machado black belt, so he's got some good guys in the room. The Dawkins brothers, things of that nature. He puts the work in, so it should be a fun fight. It's definitely going to be one of the ones where hey, let's see what we can test ourselves at, right?
Oh, for sure. And it shows with his record, like you said, training at a BJJ gym. He's got a lot of submissions, and I've watched footage on him, and he grinds the whole fight. Like there's no breaks. And, I kind of think I'm that way of a fighter as well. So I think it's going to be a high pace, high intensity fight. And I'm super excited for the matchup. I think it's a great matchup.
I do too. As soon as after I set up the interview, then I go look on Tapology. I'm like, oh man, they lined him up with Pat. And unfortunately, for people who don't know, Pat was supposed to fight. What was it, 2-3 weeks ago? And the fight just fell out like 3 days before the fight. So looking like you're keeping him active. So it should be. He's he may be a little overtrained. You never know. You can take advantage of that. Things like that happen when you have a build up to a fight and then the fight falls off and then you wind up fighting like 2 or 3 weeks later. Sometimes you're not as sharp as you would have been 3 weeks ago.
Right. A lot can happen during.
Sometimes you get an uber prepared guy.
Right. A lot can happen during training camps. You never know what a guy's dealing with. But I'm gonna trust that he's coming in ready, and I'm for sure gonna be ready. So excited for the matchup.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for a lot of stuff going on with PFL MMA right now. Obviously, with the big news coming last week with the big boy Francis Ngannou is now officially a PFL fighter. Does that make you excited with the overall landscape of what goes on in combat sports? What we've seen over the past few years, you've seen a lot of the bigger stars walk away, go to bare knuckle boxing, go to Bellator MMA, go to PFL. We've seen them go to ONE FC. Do you think it's truly becoming an even playing field where the 3-letter promotion isn't the only stop in town to fight some of the best fighters of the world and become a star, make a lot of money?
Right. I believe PFL is just truly making strides to be the top promotion. And everybody puts such a high pedestal of UFC, which it's a great organization, but there's plenty of other organizations out there that are going to take care of you as a fighter and present you some awesome opportunities, like to a chance to fight Francis Ngannou.
I mean, obviously, you're a heavyweight that could very well be on the docket at some point in time, 2023, 2024. You never know.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it's going to be one fight at a time, but,
Obviously, yes. It's one of these things. Like, I mean, like, listen, you either take the opportunities or that are get put in front of you. I'm not sitting there saying, let's lay a roadmap to to Jordan and Francis. That's
right.
I'm
Yeah.
saying it's a great thing that having that guy in there, because what he just did, free agency wise, what he got, what he's doing for not just himself but his opponents and things of that nature. We talk. It's one of the things that he bargained for is one of the things that a lot of fans who followed the UFC for long enough would make fun of all the time. They're like, hey, John Jones got 7 figures last night. How much his opponent get? He got $500K. What?
I mean, right. Yeah. I think what Francis is doing is a great thing. And it's just going to bring so many more eyes to the PFL.
Yeah, PFL. But see, that's the other thing. Like people who are just your casual fans, your guys who only tune in when this guy fighting or this guy fighting or their friends are watching it or etc. Don't really know that PFL's kind of been around for a while. I mean, obviously, the original iteration and World Series of Fighting and things of that nature, but they have had great fights. They have had great fighters go through their organization. I mean, we're about to see Justin Gaethje go, headline another big UFC card, and he's probably at least in my opinion, probably the biggest guy that has transferred over from World Series of Fighting to be one of the bigger stars in the UFC. Can't say I'm surprised at all, but it's one of these things. Like, it's not one of these crazy things where everyone's sitting there saying, well, it's just that 3-name organization. No, I think the parity over the last 5 years has really shown it. So, I mean, it started happening, long before, Scott Coker started taking over Bellator. Like, it's one of these things where just how the UFC's changed over the years. Now that Dana's just running thing, you don't have the Fertitta brothers involved. It's one of these things where, you could say that the UFC's fallen off. No, I just think the sport is growing to a point where the UFC's still there. I think they put on more events now than they did, when they first was really owning combat sports with an iron fist.
Right.
But that being said, when we talk about it, the MMA schedule is a lot bigger than the UFC. It's a lot bigger than PFL. It's a lot bigger than Bellator. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. There's regional MMA. There's, and that's the thing. I say combat sports because I cannot just sit there and talk about MMA. Bare knuckle boxing is definitely a thing.
Right.
A lot more now than it has been. Definitely gotta show Dave Feldman some love. I gotta ask you on this one. If you ever gotten the opportunity, a couple years from there, you run out your contract with PFL. Would you ever do a bare knuckle boxing? BKFC, Game Bread. Maybe you do an MMA one. Who knows? Is that something?
I mean, absolutely.
Blood, man?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I ain't gonna rule anything out. I've definitely became a fan, especially, I've been training with a few bare knuckle guys, and it's just fun to watch them rise and do well. So if I ever got the opportunity, I'd definitely probably take that.
I mean, it's one of those things. I say it a lot when I talk to some of these guys. It takes a special type of combat sports athlete to be a bare knuckle boxer. We've already seen them run some guys out. I mean, MMA ran Greg Hardy out pretty quickly, but one fight in 43 seconds from 45-year-old Josh Watson was enough for Greg Hardy Jr. and ran him over to Walmart now.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's no joke.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. Great. It's great because some of these guys, literally, that's what they were made for. Like when we see what Mike Perry do a few weeks ago to to Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold is one of the more well-rounded combat sports athletes that we have. I said it from the gate. I don't know. I feel he's more of a kickboxer. I don't know if that's going to be his game or not. It's sure as hell enough. Mike puts it in there and got Luke out of there pretty quick. And the funny part is he's actually the backup for the Diaz-Paul fight.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I mean, this sport is interesting. You got to say on that one too. I got to ask you.
I guess I didn't even know. So no, I don't really have a say, but
not a lot of people got love for the what do we call it? The content creator stars. Not a lot of people got love for the Paul brothers.
Yeah.
Wrestlers don't care for Logan. Boxers and combat sports guys don't care for Jake. I think it's just because Jake hasn't fought anybody yet. He's fought a bunch of old UFC 170-pound fighters. And you walking around at 205, 230 pounds, and you picking on older UFC welterweights.
Right.
Come on, man. Even Nate's truly, really a welterweight. I mean, worst case scenario, you could say he's a middleweight, but you're still picking on smaller guys, in my opinion. So until he fights a real boxer in his weight class, I will continue to clown him.
For sure. I mean,
listen. Wherever you come from, I'll never knock you on that. Wherever you Jordan, I don't know where your background is or how you got to this point, but I'm not going to knock where you came from because you put the work in to do that. But also, you're not having guys handpick fights for you. Where this is what we can clearly see what's going on with Jake and things of that nature. People are saying things fixed. I'm not sitting there saying anything's fixed yet. It may be fixed because we already knew what we were paying for as we were getting into it. That being said, if I go see him fight, rerun the Hakeem Rockman fight, Rockman Jr. fight again, fight Kenzie Morrison, somebody like that in that weight class around your age, things of that nature, who are actually boxers, not just picking up on older MMA guys or things of that nature. I don't want to see that. Even when he fight Tyson Fury's little brother, knew what was going to happen, didn't really care for it. It's like where the skill level is. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. He got cracked by the media personality. The Schmo was sitting there on roller skates when they were just sparring backstage at some event. We already know what he is. People who really watch the sport enough, and I just don't get why so many people buy into him.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, it's a marketing strategy, and he's making a ton of money doing it. So it's hard to knock the guy. It's really hard to knock the guy, but he can get my respect when he fights. Like you said, a guy in his weight class, his age. Somebody around his.
I'm not even going to give him respect, even if he tags up Diaz. And Nate's one of the better boxing guys that you have in MMA.
I agree, but he's on the tail end of his career, and you can't give some young kid the credit there. I mean, I guess he's going to get it, but we'll see what happens. I hope
Rocky won, man.
I hope Nate Diaz knocks his head off.
Have him pick some guy up out of some gym in whatever state he's going to fight in. Give him a Rocky moment. That might sell more than what he's doing right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's great for the guys that are raking in over the casual people, and you're attaching a name to what Jake Paul's doing. And like I said, I'm not going to knock him for what he's pulling in and what he's getting people to agree to. They listen. It's an open market. More power to you. Respect to you on that. But don't mean you're going to get the respect of the overall community. That's never going to happen. It's not given to you. It's always earned. Even Conor, Conor was godolized in his run, but he's humbled himself even to the point. Like, did you see the documentary that they just did on Netflix? It was basically chronicling the worst run of his life. I guess I haven't seen it. No. Yeah, so Netflix did a series, and basically going from the Khabib fight and both Justin fights and the Cowboy Cerrone fight. So it's just like you got to see like, you know, a little bit of an up, but like you just get to see some of the behind the scenes of it, and you know, injuries, like some of the things that you guys go through during camp, you know.
Right.
You know, during the first Dustin fight, he had literally broken his toe, 3 weeks before the fight. Then he winds up, because he's overcompensating for the toe, rose the ankle. Next fight, breaks the leg. I mean, it's just it literally chronicles the roughest part of his career. And it's one of these things that's like, we talk about Conor, he has this big old ego. I mean, if he had this big ego, he would have killed that, right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But
more respect for him now for doing that. I mean, he was, and some of the stuff he self-admitted, he's like, I never wanted to be a role model. And some of the things, like you remember him saying this and doing that. It's just, it reminded you of some stuff, and also reminded you, like, listen, you know, even guys like when guys like Conor fall, like, dude, they're human at the end of the day. Like, you know, us in the media brutalize this guy. Oh, he's over. He's done with. He's, you know, he's never gonna do this. He's never gonna do that. Now, let me get your thoughts on this. Do you think winning, if he comes back against this in this Michael Chandler fight after TUF, whenever that happens to happen, do you think we'll see a shadow of Conor? Do you think, he's going to be, the guy we've seen in the Cowboy Cerrone fight? Or are we going to see, early Eric Conor? Are we ever going to see that guy again? Or do you feel he's going to be Conor, but he's going to be, smarter? He's going to be older. He's going to be more seasoned.
Right. I mean, Conor has achieved, a lot in his early career. And do I think he can make another run at it and have a lot more, more success? I do. I truly do. But that Chandler fight is a tough fight, especially to come back to. And when you made money left and right, as much money as he has, and that was his motivator essentially in the beginning. So you lose your motivator, but now he's just doing it for the love of the sport. And I would love to see Conor come back and on his rise again. That would be huge for MMA and the UFC.
My son is his biggest thing is his name's Conor. And it was just kind of ironic. I named him, my son's, 11, 12 years old. So it's like right along the lines of that one. So like when he's first starting to like read, listen, and start doing all that stuff, he sees Conor McGregor. So some of the stuff, obviously there's reasons why I don't care for some of the antics and things like that. But I also use that as a teaching thing for my son. Like, listen, all that money, all this great stuff, he still got out of his character and did this and he did that, do right. Things, teaching things. So like, I'm glad that like he, some of the stuff he does, because it's able to like to show him some things. He wants to be an athlete. He wants to do this. Well, he has to put the work in. And even if you put the work in, that's why I had him watch that documentary. Even if you put all the work in, your body could fail, you could lose, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's so many things that could happen. I so wish that so many more athletes, not just the Conor level guys. Like I wish, like, I wish Showtime would go and follow around, some of the Bellator guys. I wish some of these media outlets essentially that basically own the rights to these to produce these promotional events, to be able to go and like, hey, I want to go follow so-and-so for 6 months, and like we're gonna do a special but not just on the Conor level guys though. I want to see it for all of it, because I think it's more stuff that could not just educate people in general about the sport, but it's just some stuff that sometimes stories need to be dug out, and they're not always there for us, ready for it. Like me and you are sitting there and we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, but if I don't know if X, Y, if this other thing is there, that story will never come out. You could wind up doing an interview 2 years from now. It's wind up the biggest story that we've heard in combat sports, but I didn't know to ask you. It's just one of those funny things where I just think more of that stuff should happen. Like we shouldn't, like when we're talking about, oh, what's your favorite MMA movie? There's 3 of them. That's it. when we're talking about other sports, other genres, things like that, they're like combat sports, MMA is still this growing teenager, as so to speak, you know.
Oh,
So
for sure.
it's one of these things. I hope we, with as much as the sport continues to grow, as much as PFL grows, the UFC grows, you know, just popularity in combat athletics, combat sports, however you want to word it, categorize that, we continue to see more characters be developed, not just who the promotional wants to promote, or who this where we get to see some of these other stories and these other people get to have chances to have their shots, because it's one of these things. I think that I think most people shun on the UFC is that, oh, we don't really have the best in the world fighting the best in the world. We have the best in the world fighting what makes sense, that makes money.
Right.
And anyone who's followed the sport knows that that's the way it's been for 5 years or more in the UFC. I am begging any promoter, whatever. Like I even said, the bare knuckle boxing guys should wait about 3-4 more years, and they should start putting together like a cross promotional New Year's event where they're putting on, you know, some of the best contenders at whatever weight class, and do it over a few month period of time, and literally bury, you know, MMA and some of that stuff, because we don't see fun stuff to see who the best person in the world is at this weight class in MMA anymore, because of the way it's been structured over the past 20 years.
Right. I agree. I mean, but the Ultimate Fighter kind of touches and scratches on the surface of the more personal stories, you know, and it doesn't go as in depth as I'd like it. You know, I wish it would, especially after being on it. But you know, it definitely scratches the surface there. But yeah, you know, became commercialized. They want the super fights. They want the pay-per-view sales. That's kind of the unfortunate part, but you know, it is what it is. You gotta win. You gotta sell fights, and that's the sport.
I still think the funniest part about it is that the way they go about to promote it. But tell me when the last time the UFC has actually hit on one of the super fights they've ever tried to build toward. Randy Couture and Fedor never happened. Brock Lesnar, Fedor never happened. Anderson Silva, GSP never happened. We get Khabib and Conor way after the fact, when, you know, a lot of people kind of felt that it should probably happen 2.5, 3 years before that. So it's like a lot of people are saying like, well, Khabib this, well, Khabib was only around for 3 years.
Right.
When it comes to dominant run, Anderson Silva, if you ask me, is 2A GOAT under John Jones, just because John Jones' resume is ungodly sickening. And that's the only reason he's the GOAT. I mean, everyone wants to tear him apart about everything afterwards. Do you agree with it? We have to separate that. Let's do the Pete Rose effect. Let's not do what Major League Baseball did to him and shun him for something that ridiculous outside of the sport. Now, granted, John Jones is way worse than what Pete did. Way worse. I'll clear that up now. But John Jones is the GOAT, correct?
I mean, I agree. He truly is the GOAT, and he shows it time and time again after years in the sport.
Do you think it's funny to see all the back and forth on Twitter between him, Francis, and Tyson Fury and all that? You think that's it's just a little salesmanship at this point in time?
Oh, for sure. But I mean, I don't blame them at all, because that's the money fights, really. I mean, that's going to sell fights right there.
Oh yeah, I mean it definitely is. We're not going to disagree with that at all. But real quick, just a quick word from our sponsor. belt is where it's at. But as we get ready to wrap things up, I got a few more before we let you go and put a bow on it tonight. Notice the nickname Thor out there for you, my friend. Is that something you picked, or is that just something that they give it to you for the likeness that you have?
I mean, yeah. So I was on The Ultimate Fighter season 30, and Juliana Pena was my coach, and she called me her Viking, her Thor, and I guess it stuck. And if a legend like her is going to give me a nickname, I guess I'm gonna let that stick and roll with it.
I love JP. She doesn't get enough credit in the overall of when we talk about combat sports. So definitely got to give Juliana Pena some love. Since they naming you Thor, if you're picking your Ultimate Avengers cast from the combat sports world, who's who and what's what? Who's your MMA Avengers cast?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, I got for sure Stipe Miocic as Captain America. Probably Tuivasa as the Hulk.
Oh no, I still would go with Brock as Hulk. I mean, just
there you go. I forgot about him. He hasn't fought in a while.
He's definitely earned some of that notoriety. But I mean, I'll never just because of the simple fact. What was it? The first fight that he did after he stopped, after he knocks Heath Herring out there, and he goes crazy, goes to the cage, saliva coming out of his mouthpiece coming flying. That's the Hulk, man.
Oh, for sure. That's definitely a good one there.
I mean, there's so many guys you can go with it, and you're just talking about Captain America. I don't know if you heard this. Did you hear Mark Coleman is coming out of retirement, and he's going to be doing a celebrity boxing fight now?
No, I haven't.
Is it one of these things like I know we love the UFC and there's been a lot of the veterans that have some issues with some of the stuff with them. Do you think they need to do some type of alumni fund, veterans fund, something like that? Like after what we just seen what happened with Stephan Bonnar, and it basically turns out he was self-medicating himself because he was in a lot of pain from stuff he had done in the cage and etc. And we can't sit there and say it's just from the UFC, but one of these things where if Forrest Griffin has this cushy job, why wasn't Stephan Bonnar given one? Why wasn't Stephan taken care of? We shouldn't have these what situations, And
I guess I don't know the backstory. Who's to say he wasn't being taken care of? Just struggling with addiction is just a rough situation. And, I hope the UFC is and does have some kind of help or funds to care for fighters that struggle with that kind of issues.
Yeah, it's one of the things we need to all do a little bit better on putting eyes on, especially with our professional athletes. We've seen Lane Johnson take some time away from the Eagles a few years ago. Took almost a month away, things of that nature. We need to make sure our brothers in arms are getting the help they need on every level. Body, mind, and soul. Body, mind, and soul.
I agree.
What I typically do here at the end, Jordan, is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over you. Anyone you would like to thank, training partners, teammates, shoot at the social media sites, any sponsors you're working with, anything you want to let the people know that you're doing outside of combat sports or anything like that. The time is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank my gyms, for always supporting me. The Bomb Squad out of Dodge, Nebraska, Skywalker out of Omaha, some tough cats and just a great team. Rocking the Sechi Roofing shirt right now. Definitely appreciate the support from all the sponsors. And just keep following my career. Check me out on social media and catch up on the latest.
We definitely want to catch up with everything going on with you. Best of skill in the fight with my man Pat Brady. I'm definitely staying neutral with it. I always say best of skill to you guys. Make sure you guys get out of there injury free, so you guys can continue making some more money. Hopefully we can see you a few more times before the year's out. And Jordan, definitely going to have you back on here again in the future. Let's talk some more MMA and things of that nature when you get done with this upcoming fight.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Likewise, my friend. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye.
All right, everyone. That was PFFL, Mr. Heavyweight, and Jordan Hinderman. That was a fun one, my friends. Not quite sure what happened with Mr. Louis Lopez. Looks like he's going to be having to reschedule in a following week. But that being said, going to put a bow on this week's Wanna Fight About It podcast. Appreciate Jordan for hopping on tonight. That being said, catch you guys next week.